The Art of Being Ruled. Wyndham Lewis. Original publication 1926. 1989 edition. Narrated by Skeptical Waves. Part 4. Vulgarization and Political Decay. Chapter 4. The Misuse of the Intellect. The great men of science of China, Babylon, or Egypt thought their thoughts and proceeded with their researches in spite of an entire absence of such conditions as makes Einstein's name, 10 days after an astronomical success, broadcast all over the world, and his relativity theory painfully popularized for the toiling, tired, unleisured millions. What's in a name, if a workman is allowed to work? All any true scientist or true artist asks is to be given the opportunity, without interference, indifferent to glory, to work. And it is just the popularization and vulgarizing of art that is responsible for the innumerable swarms of dilettante competitors who make of every art a trifling pastime, so that it is impossible for the rest of the world to regard that occupation as a serious one, seeing into what sort of hands it has fallen. So it would certainly be the redemption of art, and it would no doubt have the effect of protecting, and actually of encouraging, science, if they were both removed from the wide, superficial, democratic, that is, aristocratic, playground, and reinstated as a mystery or craft. You could not get a better example than this of how much of the intelligent organization of the Soviet authorities, because of its novelty and challenge to the old playful democratic notions of the European, is misrepresented. They have taken in this respect the wisest and sanest step where both art and science are concerned, in curtailing the impossible freedom of art, and discouraging the people from gaping incessantly for new and disturbing novelties of science. For this they are blamed, by the playboy of the Western world, not by the true man of science or the artist. The freedom of the last century or so has from any point of view been of a very remarkable nature. There was something about it that should have aroused misgivings in those, sometimes with too little measure or reticence, naively benefiting by it. For it was surely, from their point of view, too good to be true. It certainly contrasted very strongly with the conditions under which people lived at the time of the religious struggles of the Renaissance and Reformation. The opinions and discoveries of the most advanced of mankind, of the learned and splendid few, were thus made available for a mass of people, whom these opinions and discoveries reached in a garbled, sensational, and often highly misleading form, who were themselves, as they still are today in mental equipment and outlook, savages only, savages degenerating rapidly under the influence of their own civilization. They very naturally made of this mass of, for them, unequipped and unprepared, highly exciting, dangerous, and difficult matter what they had formerly made of the teaching of Christ. These theoretic, purely scientific, and aloof researches they transformed into some sort of weapon or tool at once, to get at food with, or sanctimoniously rip up their neighbor. The most disinterested idea became, in their hands, a pawn in the practical system of their life. As a doctor's scalpel might make an excellent dagger, or the axle of a car a good enough club, so most of these discoveries suggested some violent and destructive action to them, just as in Christ's teaching they found nothing but a sanction to kill and oppress. How was it, under these circumstances, that any government in its senses allowed this orgy of revolutionary heresy to be published and broadcast? Evidently because they were either too weak, too ill-instructed, or too heretical themselves to stop it. It is a safe prediction, and one that it is by no means to the discredit of the Russian rulers to make, that the time will soon come when a copy of Tolstoy's War and Peace will be read by the person possessing it, if at all, en cachette, in the same way that a pornographic book is read today. It was a book written to rouse the consciousness of the oppressed, and from that point of view, when all that can be done for the moment has been done for that oppressed humanity, there is no further point in mechanically exciting it. The great beauty and truth of the book in other respects make it natural to preserve it, for the interest of those whose minds are not ignorantly inflammable, and whom it would not pervert to lawless actions. It should only be placed in the hands of those who are in a position to understand it. The people who read such books, after all, should be the rulers.